Well, what is the Water and Sanitation Revolution as espoused by the National Department of Water and Sanitation? Are they on track to meet the country's water and sanitation targets? What is the department transforming current approaches to sanitation? In 2002, South Africa hosted the World Summit on Sustainable Development in Johannesburg. At that summit, former President Nelson Mandela said, "Among the many things that I learned as president was the centrality of water in the social, political, and economic affairs of the country, the continent, and the world." Are we remaining true to his observations in a week that we saw the minister going to KwaZulu-Natal, where she had to address people who are concerned about the drought in that part of our country? My name is Vuyo Mvoko, standing in for Mpotsedu, and welcome to today's episode of Question Time. Now, improving the lives of previously disadvantaged citizens is what inspired Madiba through 27 years of incarceration. Access to water and sanitation remains a key area of focus for South Africa's democratic dispensation. Now, Minister of Water and Sanitation, Nomvula Mokonyane, is hard at work. This is her department, as her department has introduced the Water and Sanitation Revolution to better manage and tackle the triple challenges of unemployment, poverty, and inequality. A reminder that you can, of course, call us and air your views on the following numbers: 089 110 4210 or 002789110421. Our Twitter handle is at QuestionTime24. My guest today, the Minister of Water and Sanitation, Ms. Nomvula Mokonyane. Welcome to the program, and thanks very much for joining us.
And thanks for inviting us, Vuyo.
The question I guess South Africans are asking today is, how big is the problem of water shortages in our country, and how serious is it?
Thanks for the question. The immediate thing is that, firstly, we are the 30th driest country in the world. Secondly, overall, South Africa relies on trans-boundary water basins. We have very few of our own generated sources of water. We know that we rely on the Orange River, the Limpopo, the Lesotho interventions. But what is also of a reality is that 98% of the water in South Africa has been allocated. The problem with that allocation is that over 60% of that is allocated for irrigation use. That's an anomaly, with only 27% for municipal services. And in that 27%, you then have challenges of management, particularly from the movement of the water supply from the reservoir into somebody's yard. Because of the problems that Minister Pravin Gordhan has raised about the incapacities of local government, the aged infrastructure, we're losing over 10 billion rands in terms of water that can't be accounted for in terms of illegal connections and also the water leaks. But of importance is that we as a country also have come to realize that we have over time, which was an anomaly for a water scarce country, to rely on surface water without exploring groundwater.
I mean, just from what you've already said, Minister, it's a dire situation by any definition. It
could have been, had we not picked up what the problem is. And hence the move now towards the refurbishment of boreholes and drilling of additional boreholes, so that then you move away from over-reliance on surface water. Any normal nation that looks at sustainable development focuses on groundwater. But also it's an anomaly that we only use less than 30% of our water twice or thrice. Recycling of water and the reuse is very minimal in South Africa. You go to the bathroom, you use drinkable water. You go to your toilet, you use drinkable water. You go to a garage, you clean a car, you clean a bottle of cold drink. Those are the old habits, and hence this revolution that say things can, let's first arrest the anomaly. Let's also harvest and reclaim back that we have disposed in an irresponsible manner.
Well, we are going to talk to about your revolution or what you plan to do about it. But I can hear someone sitting at home and saying, this is another ESCOM waiting to happen. I mean, it is a dire situation. Even though you're saying we heard stories of that something was being done to address the challenges that we're facing ESCOM over the years, but look where we are today.
The good thing about what I'm raising, and I don't want to speak on ESCOM, is that we have already been able to cost what exactly needs to be fixed, and that is being done already. We have also identified the issues of water allocation in South Africa had to do with some of our own compromises in the constitution about the sunset clause, because we know who is in the agricultural, in the irrigation user area. We need to look at the allocations and the issuing of water licenses. They must come with conditions. Same with the mining sector. We can't have our big dams only providing for single use. And it's those kind of solutions. Hence I'm saying that is it. But the other major game changer for South Africa, for the first time in this new administration, you have a standalone department called Water and Sanitation. That also gives a realization that the diagnostic work that was done by the Planning Commission and the response in terms of the NDP is now being implemented. It's no longer about what needs to be done. So we are almost 4 steps ahead of a situation that could have been like, let's come together and plan now. It was identified, we're responding to it. President Zuma put up this department. We're now also reviewing the act that make every municipality in South Africa a water authority, yet it does not even have a technical capacity.
Okay, let's go through some of the things that you have raised, Minister, starting with agriculture. Mm-hmm. It consumes what, over 60%? Over 60% of the water.
Of drinkable water.
Yet it is responsible for only 5% of the GDP.
That's the anomaly.
How then are we going to address that?
It is exactly that we need to look at and say, how do we deal with the allocation systems in South Africa? Do we continue to afford those who do not even use the entire allocation given to them, and even come back and say, if you don't use it, you lose it. Secondly, we need to come and address the fact that water is a national asset. You can't have a river that crosses through a particular huge farm and claim that that stream, it's called a stream, then belongs to that property owner. And me and you know, even the racial allocations when it comes to those things, and yet your emerging farmers can't actually come into the space. So hence I'm talking about the review of the Water Act, but also engagement with the Department of Cooperative Governance on the Systems Act. That has also come with these kind of problems that the NDP has brought into our attention, which we are now dealing with. We have 27 district municipalities and 1 Metro Nelson Mandela that are now a priority in terms of turning around the capacity of local government and dealing with the basics. A qualified municipal manager, a head of technical services, there must be an engineer, you need hydrologists there, there must be a maintenance, just a simple maintenance kind of a plan for doing the work. In the agricultural sector, we must also deal with the issues of the contamination of groundwater through the irrigation that also is reliant on chemicals, because those are some of the things that we also are dealing with.
Raw sewage. The
spillage of raw sewage into our system because of some of the problems that are there. Where we have made interventions as a department working with the provincial and local government, we've been able to build the dam, lay the pipeline, deal with the distribution from the pipeline into the reservoir, into the household. And it actually shows that had we not broken the entire value chain through the Water Services Act and the Systems Act, things would not have been like this, because not every municipality has the capacity. Even there's no appetite by engineers to go to Nguza Hill and go and be an engineer in that area.
Well, the question I guess many people will be asking is, do you think you're going to win this one? If Pravin Gordhan is having difficulty trying to convince the politicians that they should earn their living and not be entitled to, and you got the backlash that you got ahead of the Salga National Assembly. If on qualifications, even when he was Minister of Finance, he said people must produce qualifications. I mean, half of them still haven't done so. So even though you have good plans, you have engaged your cabinet colleagues, both from agriculture and cooperative governance, but they didn't win their own battles before they can actually, you together can win yours. I mean, is there hope that you are going to win this battle?
Walk into KwaZulu-Natal, you see government in action. Everybody, the KwaZulu-Natal Disaster Management Center under the Department of Cooperative Governance is actually the nerve center of all national departments, local authorities in their entirety, and it all borders on the political leadership and the determination. We've just also went into the Northwest. Ngaka Mudiri Mulema and Bujanala have also been handed over to us to say, make interventions there. We're making inroads in Makana. We've made interventions in Kian. So yes, there's an indication, but you can't also have pockets and not be able to learn from those success stories. We've just been in Limpopo. We've told colleagues in Limpopo that the best practice is in South Africa. Let's come and see how eThekwini has actually functioned. And by the way, sitting here, we're dealing with the sanitation revolution. Proudly, Gauteng has eradicated the bucket system. Only 194 are remaining in the Northwest. The bulk rests with the Northwest, the Northern Cape, and the majority is between the Free State and the Eastern Cape because of the willingness of the leadership.
I'm going to ask you to hold your thoughts right there. We're going to take a quick ad break. Our topic for today is whether we're sitting on a water time bomb that we are perhaps too scared to admit.
From humble beginnings, this selfless icon altered the history of the world, freed a country, and united a nation. He taught us humility and forgiveness. To the world, he is Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela. But to us, he is simply Tata Madiba.
Welcome back. You're watching Question Time. A reminder that you can call us and air your views on the following numbers: 089-110-4210. If you're outside the country, it's 002789-110-4210. Or you can tweet us. Our handle is @QuestionTime24. Now, Minister, you must have heard people saying that the next wars will be fought over water. I mean, 1 in 7 people around the world doesn't have access to clean drinking water. The question, I guess, is, having spoken to your cabinet colleagues, having allocated the amounts of money that you're allocating, although I think by your own department's admission, it's nearly not enough. If you're spending 2.9 billion rands this year, when people are saying you need 293 billion, then it's a drop in the ocean. But having done what you've been able to do, have you looked beyond South Africa for solutions that other people are already working on?
Exactly my point. How we manage the little that we have and how we use what we've got. Surface water is not the only way of accessing water, and therefore the maximum use of groundwater is quite important. The approach that can help us to embrace innovative solutions is very important. A dignified sanitation product is not just the one that you can flush every time you walk in. There are many other solutions to save water, but also others that may actually use minimal water volumes, and others where you may not need water altogether, and not only for the poor, but even for the affluent areas. The second thing that is a reality, it's true, water knows no boundaries. The fact that I've said, my introductory remark was that we are a country that is dependent on transboundary basins. It is that indication. Therefore, you need stability in the SADC region. You need stability in Africa so that that pipeline that comes from Zambezi must find a stable Zimbabwe and other neighboring countries.
Well, speaking of that, I mean, there's the Lesotho Phase 2 of the Lesotho Highlands Water Project. It was supposed to start, last year? Has it started?
It has started.
Now, but here's the problem now. You have a Lesotho that's become very unstable.
Yes.
That should worry you because, yes. I mean, you're talking, over 15 billion rands invested in that project, and if Lesotho has become as unstable as it is increasingly becoming, you should be worried. In fact,
yes, the question should be, what are we doing? What we are trying to do is to protect the project against the political turmoil. And hence, there's now an agreement that was signed by President Jacob Zuma and the former head of state of Lesotho to create a firewall around the project. However, we have to take the new government on board as to what is happening, and that's what has been a delay. But there are already processes. Phase 2, we are now at almost 7.5% of its rollout. The most important thing around the Lesotho project is that even with those problems, Phase 1 has been stable. We've been receiving water. Phase 2, yes, it has a stop and start because of all these things. If we could just sustain this protection of the project, we can be, because even Lesotho economically relies on the functionality of that project.
We have Gideon on the line. Gideon, your question, comment? Gideon, are you still there? Okay, it looks like Gideon is gone, Minister. Now, months ago, last year, there was a problem in Gauteng. You were quick to say that problem has nothing to do with shortages, with technical problems. Do you still maintain that?
I still maintain. Remember, it was also picked up. It was cable theft. We all thought it was a tripping of energy supply. It came out 6 days thereafter that, in fact, it was cable theft that had happened that then affected the pumping of water into the different reservoirs. And I think it will also be irresponsible to live with it and saying Gauteng. It was parts of Gauteng and not the entire Gauteng. In the same vein as with KwaZulu-Natal, you have 11 water sources in KwaZulu-Natal. It's 4 areas. The only snag is that the 4 have to supply very critical areas, and what we are now working on is to relocate where there is excessive to these other areas where there are problems and look at other solutions. The Gauteng one, I still live by it, and as I'm saying, it was not me. It was evidence on the ground that cable theft, and I think we need to take the issue of cable theft quite serious because it does affect the running of the economy.
Now, experts around the world put forward as a solution the issue of desalination. I haven't heard you speak about desalination, where we take water from the sea, which we have, we're surrounded by the sea, and actually pump it back to water that we can use.
In fact, it's no longer about talking about it. Possibly you didn't hear me, but the last few days when I was in KwaZulu-Natal, one of the things that we have agreed on as part of the Pakisa project nationally, it's the exploration of desalination, and not only looking at KwaZulu-Natal, but all the coastal provinces. Already the Overberg Water Board in the Western Cape, our own water board, has actually come with a very convincing intervention that looks not only at the issues of the cost, but at alternative means that deal with desalination. We've got the acid mine the mine water here that you can also clean and take back to source. So there are various options that we need to look at. But the first must start with me and you on how we deal with the little that is in my hand.
Right. Well, we have Kateko from Limpopo. Minister, let's hear what they have to say. Kateko?
Hello, good evening, Mr. Moko.
Yes, bro. Go ahead.
May I please talk to the minister?
Yes, you can.
Hello, Minister.
She's listening.
I hear.
I have just one question for you. Can you hear me?
Yes,
we can. Shoot.
Hello.
Speak. Put your question to her or comment.
I have one question for you. I live in a country called Mokonyane, right? And there is Toyando. Yeah. We have a problem. Like at 5 o'clock, they turn off our water supply, but then they do not turn off the water supply of people in Toyando. What is the main cause of that act of switching off our water and not switching off their water? Because now we are being treated unequally, and that, I believe, is not in concord with the Constitution or the Book of Law. May you please just answer the question why they switch off our water and why they do not switch off their water? Yeah, thank you.
Toyando, are you aware of that problem, Minister, where they just switch off the water?
Yes, and I never want to say I'm the national minister, find out from your municipality. But my assumption is there might be an application of water restrictions. But when you do that, one of the critical things is to take the communities on board. And I think where water restrictions are being applied, like Palito, Zimbabwe, in KwaZulu-Natal, water restrictions are being applied not only in the villages and everywhere, but even the village communities. Everybody knows, because the role of the ward councillor becomes important. When the council takes that resolution of water restrictions, it should have actually taken the community on board and made them to understand, and even give a timetable that indicates that we will be rationalizing from this time and up to that time. One of the missing links is exactly that, contact with the water user, so that then they can actually understand. It will be frustrating if you don't know. So I think part of what we are now dealing with in terms of the command center is to have a central point, because Vuyo, what I've come to see is that people South Africans don't care whether it's a municipal authority, whatever. They'll look for Nomvula and say, give me the answer. We're now putting a command center that we have done in KwaZulu-Natal, where there'll be a single number where you call, and we can be able to distribute it across and track whether municipalities are doing that. And we will follow up the story, Sasetoyando.
Minister, we probably have about 20 seconds left or so. I want you to answer this question unequivocally. Are you saying that in spite of the challenges we're being confronted with in KwaZulu-Natal at the moment, in spite of what happened in Gauteng last year, in spite of the fact that we're going to import maize for the first time in 7 years, South Africa is in no crisis whatsoever? We are not going to run out of water anytime soon.
The world is in a water crisis. The solution rests on better water management and use management. So it's not a South African issue. Climate change and global warming is a fact. And two, if it is not better managed, we will find a country like ours in a much more serious condition.
But for the time being, you are on top of it.
For the time being, me and you have to be on top of it. Use a glass to brush your teeth. Don't sing in the shower. Get in and get out. Don't water your garden unnecessarily. And most importantly, those of us who are in authority, let us manage our infrastructure and the resources in a responsible way. It needs partnerships. If it becomes the last drop, you yourself will not find a solution. So it's not about government. There can be an alternative on energy, but there's no alternative on water.
Unfortunately, Minister, we have to get out.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister of Water and Sanitation, Nomvula Mokonyane. Well, that was question time for today. A big thank you to our guest and for you at home for watching.